Hi, welcome along. I'm Simon Pound from Vend, and today we're joined in Jurlique's Melbourne Central store with Chris Balogi, Jurlique's Director of IT Operations. They're a wonderful company with 16 sites at really high-profile retail places like Westfield malls across Australia and 200 doors across Asia and the world, from Gallery Lafayette through to Oxford Street in London. They recently changed over their retail technology and saw some great improvements in their business. And to chat us through the process, Chris joins us now. Thank you for being with us here. First up, let's have a look at what your operations were like before you changed your retail technology.
We used to operate, I would say, a conventional point of sale system within our retail stores. Legacy system, quite old, very hardware based, and an on-premise environment. Complicated to maintain, built potentially before the smartphone was invented, so its capabilities were very limited.
And what were the major kind of pain points or challenges that you were facing that made you want to investigate new retail technology?
I think we're looking forward, as many retailers, as the omni-channel experience. With a system that was built before a lot of this technology existed, it was not able to adapt to e-commerce integration or our ERP system effectively. So we face challenges of moving forward on that journey for our customer.
What was your customer experience like before in the stores, and then what did you do to change it?
I would say our customer experience is very conventional in retail. We consulted face to face, yes, but you then went back to a point of sale system where we just carried out a standard transaction. Your data was very basic and fundamental in terms of what we kept on a customer, and our ability to interact electronically with the customers was very limited. So it really was just a financial transaction. We were not able to offer a customer anything further than just purchasing products within our store. We were not able to interact with our customers beyond that.
And how was the stores actually set up? So did you have like a POS that was fixed in one place?
Yes, again, we had a traditional what we call POS island. Everybody gravitates towards to take out their transaction. The sales staff hide behind that island, big heavyweight computer, and yes, everything was done on that space. It became cluttered with bits and pieces, of course, as they do, credit card machines, bits of paper. So yes, it was very, very conventional.
I can't see any kind of point of sale set up here at all. So what do you run now?
It was a great opportunity for us to align with the design changes that we were looking at in stores to remove that island. And we made a decision during the design phase of stores to say we're going to move away from conventional point of sale. We're going to find a cloud-based solution that can enable us to remove the heavy infrastructure that's needed to support a lot of point of sale systems in store. And I think the challenge in store is that retail space is a premium. To find a place where you can put the database or the server or the computer equipment is challenging. We want to use that space to carry out retail operations.
So now, rather than a large computer, you have a handheld device, or like where do you put things like printers? I don't see any of that here. Yeah.
So the great thing about having a cloud-based solution was that yes, you can sell from a handheld device, and it's as simple as that. And it's the handheld device of choice. You can go anything from a smartphone to a tablet. Could use it on a computer, but obviously we're trying to minimize the impact of the equipment in store. So we chose an iPad mini just because it was big enough to be able to have the real estate that we needed for the retail staff, but not too big and heavy that if they wanted to hold it for periods of time that it was cumbersome. Printers, yes, again, we aligned with our designers to put the receipt printer under the counter. So it was hidden away, and the printer could print output through the counter itself. Cash drawer, yeah, unfortunately we had to maintain a cash drawer in this day and age, but again, that was put in under the counter. That is it, really. That's all we have in store.
Were there fears in your organisation around moving to the cloud or removing servers and things that had been so traditional to big retail operations?
Yes, and I think that's the first hurdle you need to overcome. Is we all sit in the environment where we need to process a transaction, and if we can't process a transaction, the store doesn't make any money. So how do we overcome those fears? With the old database days, you didn't worry. You physically had everything in store, you were good to go. So that is the biggest fear going to the cloud, and yes, that was on our matrix of solutions that we looked at. We had to be sure that that box was ticked, that the solution could continue to process a transaction even if the cloud went offline. We live in this world where we rely on the cloud, but we've also got to compensate for the eventualities that could occur. So that was a tick box that we ticked very early on in this project to say that the end solution needed to have those capabilities.
How about the pain point of actually moving the team from an existing solution to a new solution? I imagine that there's a lot of scheduling that's involved. You have to find a window that works to actually change technology and then be able to train and put in new processes. How did you face that challenge and how did you overcome that?
I think the window of change, yes, very challenging. Is there a quiet time in retail? Yes, there is, but we try to fill that with promotions. So it is then saying, when is that quiet window? And then, of course, your key staff are on holiday in the quiet times, so it's a bit of a catch-22. Also, how quickly could we transition all the stores? You know, were we going to do them all in the same week? Were we going to spread them out? And as we looked at the transition period, we took a period in the year where our sales were certainly at their lowest point, and then we just said, yes, this is the spot we have to go for. We spread the transition for our 16 Australia stores over a 3-week period, really to mitigate the potential risk of any issues. And also to the point of view that we wanted to have a lot more control over how we did this. So we didn't have the resources to be in every single store at the same time. So we had a planned rollout over 3 weeks. And that rollout enabled us really to sort of iron out things by doing the sort of least busy stores in the first week, to iron out certain issues before we moved on to the next ones and next ones. And of course we left the high volume stores till the last week.
And in terms of your planning and processes around that, like in some ways it was an overnight success because you were able to turn on one system and then start using it the next day. But in other ways it was months-long preparation, wasn't it, in terms of scoping and planning? What kind of processes did you have to go through?
Yes, and I think that was the key to our project, was all the work that went on prior to the actual cutover. It was an enormous amount of work by my team, and they certainly, pulled out all the stops. So we had to analyse all of our processes. We had to understand how we currently operated. We had to then align the new system with our processes, or the other way around. In this case, we actually had to change some of our processes to align with the system. And that was a key point to saying, this is an off-the-shelf solution. How does Jurlique need to change the way it operates to suit that system? We didn't find many things that needed to change, but once those processes were documented, we were then able to start talking about training staff and setting up the system. But yes, we basically set up a whole separate environment across the business to test prior to the go live. So new Wi-Fi within all our stores, and then have the tablets set up, have a printer, have a cash drawer in the back room, so that we simulated the environment, and we were able to use that equipment for testing as well as training. So it enabled us now to start the training with the staff, and for them to have hands-on use of that equipment, in the same time carry on selling as they would normally. So both were operating almost side by side with the test environment.
What was the reaction like from the staff when you take them off a big clunky old POS and give them an iPad to play around with?
They were very excited, very positive. I think it was received with open arms. Again, you're dealing with a generation that's used to apps, they're used to technology. It's very, very simple. So yes, they were all smiles, open arms, and welcome. And I think also the frustrations of a legacy system. They couldn't do this, they couldn't do that, and this they could see now would bring value to how they operated within store.
And once you had moved to the cloud, some of your other pain points had to do with having operations in so many places. By moving to the cloud, did that help you roll out new stores and open new locations, even in different countries, in a more efficient way?
Certainly pop-up events has been fantastic now. We can almost send out a box of equipment for a pop-up event. And a new store that used to take us several weeks within the IT department to configure it in the old traditional point of sale could be set up within a day in the new system. And even to the point where with the opening of the new store in the UK now, yes, our ability to set that up from a systems perspective very quickly and easily has been fantastic. I mean, there's true value there to the business. And I'm certainly looking forward to Christmas, where, you know, our ability to process sales over the Christmas period by literally handing out additional point-of-sale devices, as simple as an iPad, will increase our ability to generate revenue for the business.
Is it more economically efficient to open a new store or invest in the hardware or pay the licenses than under the traditional kind of point-of-sale setup?
One of the decisions that we faced when we started our project to look at it was, did we want to make a long-term investment in a 10-year system, which is effectively what you need to do in traditional retail. And we didn't want to do that, and technology is changing too fast. So to move to a pay-per-use model is much more cost-effective for us as a business to operate a store. There's no long-term investment in setting up a store other than buying a few iPads and a couple of other small devices in store.
Being in the cloud, how does that allow you to build out your systems with other apps or with your existing tech stack?
Yes, and this was one of the reasons why we needed to move forward in terms of our omni-channel journey, because we were hindered by our system not being able to integrate. So there were some key things that we looked at with integration when we made a decision to move to Vend, and it was the ability for us to integrate with our own ERP system through APIs. It was also the ability to look at what other systems do we need, if it's a treatment booking system or online presence, you know, how do we integrate there? So certainly those were key choices, but it was having that flexibility and adaptability that we could leverage from a cloud-based solution that was already set up with partnerships, enabled us to sort of move forward in terms of our omni-channel journey. And
what other kind of apps do you use in with your point of sale to operate your business? Because you also have a consultation side where customers come in and have facials or consultations.
That's right, we do. And a booking system was one of the integrations that we utilised on day one. And a great example of how we move forward there is that the booking system allows visibility between stores now of the availability in treatment rooms. That also integrates directly with the point of sale, so that we can carry out the actual payment of that booking in addition to purchasing maybe products all through the Vend point of sale. So they're fully integrated, enabling us to complete that transaction all in one application.
Would you have any advice to other multi-outlets or large stores looking to move to the cloud? Like, how would you help them overcome the fears that they may have, and what are some good steps to take to make that move?
I think the biggest fear for most of us is the ability to operate when you lose a connection to the cloud. And I think certainly what we've seen with Vend, we know that we can process a transaction even if we were to lose the internet link. So there's certainly that fear of being isolated, the fear of the transition. Yes, it is a complicated process, but planning is the key to that, definitely. We did the cutover overnight within these stores. No interruption to business, and it was a very smooth cutover. But that was all because of the planning and the work that went on beforehand. So you can never do too much planning in a project like this. And I think that was where our investment really paid off. So that would be my biggest sort of tip to anybody, to say you need to plan these projects. And then they can go well. And I think the financial side, you know, we all look at money, what things cost. The investment, we did come in at only 65% of our actual budget, which is quite an amazing feat when you hear of overruns, but 65% of our budget and 1 month ahead of schedule.
That's fantastic. And how has it been received in the wider business now and by your really significant team? You have a huge number of retail managers and retail staff using it now.
They love it, and it gives them the visibility that they wanted now to be able to see what's going on. So So with our old legacy system, they had no visibility on reporting. You know, we had to generate reports manually. So now they have cloud-based reporting, they have visibility into that. Of course, the great thing with all technology is you dangle something in front of people and they want more. So, of course, they're now going, well, can we do this, can we do that? Which is really exciting because it now means that we can go on this journey and we can support those initiatives and we can support marketing campaigns better and we can support events like the Australian Open easily now. So it's supporting various departments and giving them the ability to have these events is fantastic.
And you first actually started using Vend from just opening it up on a single laptop at a warehouse sale, didn't you? And then built it out to be every part of your business. And is that a good way for people to start trying things as well, being able to bite off a small bit and find out functionality before going large? Yes, it's quite an amusing story actually. We need to do a warehouse clearance sale and we do them every few years. A lot of retailers do them. And prior to me starting with Jurlique, they did it from our legacy system. So when this one came up, the IT team said, oh yes, we need to send an IT member on site to sit there for a week and do price adjustments and whatever. And I'm thinking, really, I'm not going to pay money to send somebody to a different site and sit there for a week to baby mind the system. So there's got to be a better way of doing this. So of course the joys of apps these days is that you can have your 30-day trial. So that's exactly what we did. We took Vend as a 30-day trial. We ran it on a laptop, an old laptop, or several old laptops. So it cost us basically nothing. And we were able to test its functionality. And we came away from that thinking, wow, this actually really works. And it actually opened our eyes up to what the capabilities are of a cloud-based solution. How's it improved things for customers? And do you hear back about customers saying that they love having someone wander up to them with a small little device to make the sale? I think people are getting used to that idea of being able to process a transaction face-to-face now without the traditional computer. So we're able to, in front of them, be able to capture their data, put them into our mailing system, able to update their records and have our ability to interact better with the customers. Certainly that's gone down really well. We are looking at ways of developing our interaction with the customer. We might look at how we use the device whilst we're standing with them to showcase some of the stuff behind our products. But certainly, yes, the face-to-face consultation has been very positive. That's so wonderful, and it'll be so cool to see how you continue to innovate like that with those tools. And thank you for sharing your retail story with us today, Chris. Pleasure.